Welcome to the Rapport Advantage Podcast, transforming the way leaders communicate. Here's your host, human behavior expert and professional speaker, Alex Swire-Clark.
Chestnuts roasting on an open fire. Unless you're in Florida, and it'll be hot.
Wow, Alex, what a voice.
I'm sort of a baritone on most days, but I can go into the bass world if I have to. Welcome to the Rapport Advantage Podcast. Thank goodness we're not singing today. Liz has got a great voice, but you don't want to hear me somewhere. Nat is not happy with me. Like, dude, come on, man. You're killing me. So anyway, the show. We're about the show. Focus, man. Focus. Woo! It's a high I show. What can I say? That's where we are.
Yay, it's a high I show.
Whoop, whoop. You know it. Welcome to the Rapport Advantage Podcast. Love having you guys with us today. If you are new to the show, stop. Go back and listen to episodes 2 through 6. Those are going to help give you that DISC mentality, that nomenclature that we use, that foundational knowledge of the model of human behavior that we talk about on this show on a weekly basis. And if you haven't listened to those, you're going to be questioning when I just said, what's a high I a minute ago? You're going to think, I don't know, an I that's really tall in the skyscraper? No. High I is somebody who's outgoing and people-oriented. And you know that if you listen to episode number 4. So anyway, ooh. I did pull that out. That's crazy. We are here to help you break down the walls of miscommunication, increase your emotional intelligence, and build better relationships in the workplace and beyond. We are your guide on the path to emotional intelligence expertise.
I like that Asian slant. Thank you.
Yes. So I'm trying to do my channeling my inner 80s cartoon Confucius there. So no offense meant to anyone. I am Alex Swire-Clark, CEO, speaker, and emotional intelligence expert.
And I'm Liz Parker, certified behavioral analyst. I do job benchmarking. I'm a strategic growth consultant and a Vistage chair.
Absolutely, she is. Give us your input and feedback on Facebook because this show is all about you. You can find us at the Rapport Advantage Podcast. You can find us also on Twitter at Rapport Podcast or visit the website at rapportadvantage.com. We are talking about hindering factors in selling to the various styles, and this is number 2 in that series. We talked about these last week. Today, talking about those crazy high I's. You know who you are. Oh, yeah. You're dang right you know who you are. And we have some hindrances for I's, but as we said last week on the show, as a little pro tip, there aren't that many that you have to worry about because remember, eyes are impressionable and eyes are impulsive and they are quick to jump on a sale if they like what they're doing. So we're going to talk about that. If
they like the person.
Oh, yeah, if they like that person. It's about like before they can trust you. That whole right side of the graph, we've talked about that before. So high eye hindrances. Number 1 is letting a high eye talk so much that you lose the sale. Now, you want them to talk because that's how they build rapport. They build rapport by talking. So they can ask you a question. So, Liz, how was your day? And Liz would say, oh, it was great. How was yours? 20 minutes later, they're done with their side of that particular discussion. So we've wasted time in that particular setting from a high D standpoint or a high C standpoint, letting the I just kind of go and go and go. And so from that standpoint, you want them to talk enough to make them feel comfortable with you, the salesperson, but not so much that they get off task or get to a point where we've got to end the meeting early before we've had a chance to give them information and present a time to be able to close.
It is a challenge to be a salesperson for a high I because the high I really wants you to focus on my wants, the high I's wants. You need to be paying attention to me, everything that I say, and I mean hanging on every word. I better see body language. I better see eye contact, all those things that kind of show the love to me because that's what I want to feel in order to be a high I. Now, the only time I don't need to see that is actually if you're talking testimonials, I need testimonials. So you can talk about 1 or 2, but do not spend a lot of time on anybody else. You better come right back to how it focuses and helps me.
That's right. Social proof is key for an I. They want to see lots of people giving it 5 stars or whatever product. So send them to a website or to a review about that. Also, you want to make sure that you're not focusing too much on features or benefits from the side of the practical side. More about what's it going to do for them and who's going to be involved, who's going to impact. Because remember, those D's are asking that question, what's it going to do for my organization? What's it going to do for my bottom line? Those C's are asking why. Why do I need to have this product? Why should I go with your company? Those types of things. And the I's are always asking that question, who? who's going to be involved, who's going to be benefiting from this. So if you focus on the people in their organization or the people that are involved, now you've got them because they're all about those people.
That's right. That's right. And number 3, Alex?
Is making the high I conform to a sales, quote, process. So, yes. So what does that mean? Well, that means if you are a high D or a high C salesperson, you're all about the task list. I've got to get through steps 1 through 7 of the cycle, and I've got to do them in a certain order, and I have to spend a certain amount of time in each part of that cycle. Well, what if the high I says, man, Jane, I love your product. It sounds great. You've explained it to me in 5 minutes. I'm ready to sign up today. Like right now. Well, I don't even have my paper with me or anything for you to sign. And if you have that mentality when they are ready to say yes in that moment, because eyes, we've said it, they're impressionable, they're impulsive. They might say yes in the first 6 minutes. Mm-hmm. And you're wanting to have, your normal process is 3 meetings with a high C who wants to see the pro forma, and they want to see the trailing 12 for other organizations and all that kind of good stuff. And then the high I says, I'm good, man. This sounds wonderful. Let's go. And you get stuck in analysis paralysis mode as a high C or D. Well, Bob, I can't really go on to the next step because we're not in the right spot to do it, or I'm at step 2 of the process and I don't start to close until 6. Don't get caught up in your own processes. If they've said yes, get their name, get an email or a phone number, and we can worry about the details later. And that's where we go to the next one there, Liz.
That's right. So as you think about that, we are rule breakers. And so we don't want to follow any rules. And because of that, we also don't want any details. We want to create our own stuff. We want to make sure our own stuff happens the way we want it to happen. So when it comes to details and it comes to, Alex mentioned earlier, the features and benefits, we want to know those benefits and a high level on those who's, who else has experienced this great thing. But if you go in and tell me all the little detailed facts about the whole thing, I feel like Rosanna Dana right now. It's making me crazy.
Explode.
That's my first imitation.
That was nice.
Anyway,
of course we've lost about 75% of the audience because Rosanna Dana was before a lot of these people's time. But anyway,
that's true. But those that are my age lover. Anyway, don't worry about the details. That's the whole point of that.
Exactly. So to recap this very short podcast today, we are talking about hindering factors. Number 1, letting a high I talk so much that you lose the sale. Keep them focused on the task at hand. You don't have 6 hours. You've got 60 minutes. Let's keep it to that time frame. Number 2, not focusing on the I's wants. If you don't have how it's going to benefit them and the people that they are around and the people that they're supporting in their organization, if you don't address those things, you're going to lose them. Number 3, making a high I conform to a sales process. If they're ready to say yes, let them say yes. Mm-hmm. Let them say yes, and then just get a phone number or whatever, follow up, and you can do the back end of the process when they're not there. They're already ready to say yes. You go back, you send them the 3 packages, gold, silver, bronze, then make a selection, and you're off and running. And then 4, worry about those details later. If they're saying yes now, just shake their hand, give them a high five or whatever the tone is at that moment, and then you can go back in, okay, now I need to go back to accounting, now I need to go back to my project manager or whomever else and do all the bells and whistles and follow the paperwork up, and then I can send it to their assistant and have them sign it later. Just worry about all that stuff later. They're positive.
That includes price.
Absolutely, because if they're ready to say yes, forget the price. Great point, Liz, great point. If they haven't asked, don't even worry about it. Just continue on because in their mind, they've already said yes. Then the price tag becomes a non-issue later on. Super late detail there, Liz.
But it was an important one, and I think the recap you pulled together was beautiful.
Yes. That's why we're a good team.
Oh, I know.
So that's going to do it for today's show. Liz, how can folks get in touch with you?
They can email me at liz@ltresults.com, or they can get on my website at ltresults.com.
Perfect. Join our Facebook group. Head over to Facebook and search the Report Advantage podcast, and our group will appear. You can see some of our Go Live sessions where we've talked about different personality styles. We've actually gone through and answered folks' questions when they've come up, and so that's always fun. And we'll get back to doing some live events when I'm not speaking so much on the road. I was in D.C. last week doing a few talks, and so that prevents me from doing my normal Thursday lunch kind of scenario. But we're going to get back onto the train with that.
And we want you on the road doing those speaker engagements, listeners. So you call him and get him out there because he is dynamic in front of the audience.
Thank you, Liz. Thank you. We did have a good time. I was with Ripple Effect Incorporated last week, and so they're a communications company up in the D.C. area. Had a tremendous talk with Amy and her team. She's got a fabulous team up there, and we talked about communication and emotional intelligence and how to use it both internally and when they're working with prospects and or outside vendors of their organization. So great time, great talk.
Perfect.
On our next podcast, we're going to dive into the high S's, and we'll try to be a little softer and not quite as... with them as we would our high I's, but you know how we are. I can't keep my fingers off the buttons. That's who we are. So, hindering factors for high S's, that's next week. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time.
Bye-bye.
Thanks for listening to the Rapport Advantage podcast. We'd love to hear from you. Join the conversation on Facebook at the Rapport Advantage and follow us on Twitter at Rapport Podcast.